evening, folks. It's me, Captain Logan, and welcome to the Bunker Tour for 2022. Tonight, I am shooting guerrilla style on my phone, which is not ideal, of course, but I want to do this live. It's a thing I've never tried before. I thought it would be fun to interact with you guys while I was taking you around the bunker. I've made 4 or 5 of these since I moved into this place. I think I did a couple the first year because it was changing so much, and I want to do one every year because it's constantly rapidly evolving. I'm always changing stuff around, adding things, trying to improve it. And like I said, I thought it would be fun to let you guys ask questions and direct the tour a little bit and let me know what things you'd like me to give you a closer look at. Hopefully you can hear me okay and you'll be able to see everything all right. Like I said, it would be much better if I took my, more high quality camera around or was even able to use my regular webcam, but alas, not portable. And I couldn't think of a better way to do it than this. So maybe I'll think of something else next time around, or maybe the next one of these I won't do live, but we'll see how well this goes. So feel free to leave comments at any time during the show. I am setting this up so that I can see all of the chat when things start coming in. And anyway, right now you can just see my head. I am sitting on my couch in the office, and so I'm going to flip my camera here and let you guys see. Oh, it looks like that lets me zoom out a little bit. Okay, anyway, here is my office, and yeah, the lighting looks weirder on the camera than it does on my regular camcorder. So anyway, hopefully you guys can see things okay. Like I said, I couldn't really test this great without just making a live show because it doesn't really give you an option when you're doing this on the phone to just to do it unlisted or anything. So I had to just kind of hope for the best. Anyway, so this is where I make the videos and where I am shooting live shows, of course. We do everything almost 100% exclusively live now. And so this is the back end of what you guys usually see. What you guys are usually looking at is my superhero and comic book movie collection, which I just did a whopping 6-hour run through of A to Z, every single thing I own. And that was a lot of fun to do, kind of exhausting. Hope people enjoyed it. If you listen to the entire thing, you're amazing, and I really appreciate it. Oh, now my phone is showing me. I was a little bit nervous there for a minute because it looked really dark on my end, but hopefully you guys have been seeing the illumination I'm seeing now this whole time. Hi, Robert Wild. Hi, Adam March. Good to see you guys. Just a few other people here that haven't commented yet. But yeah, this is, of course, what you guys are usually looking at in my background. I recently changed this around, so I've got books over here now, and I need to add some things to this shelf. This is kind of a work in progress, but over here I've got my science fiction paperback collection, which a lot of came from my stepdad's father. When he passed away, he bequeathed his entire collection to me, and there's a lot of stuff here, and rest in peace. He was a wonderful man, and was a real big fan of old school science fiction, and he liked handheld video games and stuff, and we camped every year with him and his wife, and really miss him. But anyway, he's got a lot of classic science fiction books that I need to read. The whole Dune series, the original books are there, and anyway, lots of other stuff. Let's see what SS Jerry is asking me about. Cap, have you ever played the Injustice arcade game? It gives you a card after a match and plays very different than the console version. Yeah, it's basically a glorified phone game, and they have that at Dave & Buster's, and they have for several years now. I think that's still going strong. But yes, I have a few times, and I have a number of those cards. I'm going to start taking you guys around the bunker here. Let me finish up the office, and then we'll make our way into the arcade section, since that's what I put in the thumbnail and what folks are already commenting on. Somebody mentioned my big pop shredder over here, Super Shredder from Ninja Turtles 2. I could not help but pick him up. That was a GameStop exclusive, and I kind of lament ever walking into, much less purchasing anything out of a GameStop, but I did that because and I passed on him 3 or 4 times and finally went, yeah, I love Super Shredder way too much. I had to get that. He's wonderful because he's on screen for 45 seconds, but his design is so memorable and ridiculous and wonderful and still hilarious that he dies in the most anticlimactic way possible for how completely badass he looks. A lot of this will be stuff that I have pointed out in previous tours, but I want to show off what I think are the coolest things and just stuff that that'll be really, out in the open and in view as we're going around. So this spawn my wife gave me years ago, and once again, if there's anything that you see that I pass up that you want me to talk about, please leave a comment and let me know. I am cool going for at least an hour tonight or longer if there's a lot of stuff folks want me to show you. It's a big space, there's a lot of stuff here, and by the way, I still want to make some... Let me flip this camera back around. I still want to make some different collection videos on my different collections down here beyond just the superhero movie collection at some point. I haven't gotten around to that yet, but I'm thinking about starting a series on that next year. Maybe do it every week or two until I complete all the major stuff. So we'll see if there's any interest in that. Anyway, so this spawn came from my wife. One of the first presents she ever bought me, and still one of my favorites. That is a big, what is that, like 15, 20 inch. I think with a cape, it turns into like, I don't know, 25 or 30. But Spawn from, I think that came out in like 05 or 06. And it's technically a figure, but it's posed like a statue. You can move, the arms and stuff. There's a few points of articulation, but it's still in pretty good shape. I've had that forever. And then up here, I've got a couple more Spawns. I've sold a lot of my Spawn collection. I've gotten rid of all the comics. I still have a few figures here and there, and these kind of statuesque figures I really like. I have a couple more, or at least one more upstairs in my game room. Which is where most of my consoles are, by the way. So you'll see my arcade down here, and I've got a couple of consoles down here, but a lot of my video game stuff is in a different room in the house, and I might show you that at some point as well if I do that collection series. Especially, I've got these 10-inch Spider-Man figures that came from Toy Biz years and years ago, and most of my figures I've taken out of box, but I always liked what these looked like, and it's kind of nostalgic for me leaving those in the boxes. So I've got my Venom and my Spider-Man in the black costume, and the Spot, who is a guilty pleasure villain of mine. Over here, we have a lot of plastic statues and a couple of big figures. I talked about this last time I did a tour video, but I've really gotten into these plastic kind of $50, $60 statues from Diamond and a couple other companies as well. I've kind of slowed down on these because I've sort of run out of space. Most of them are down here. I have one or two things also up in the game room, but this Spider-Man is one of the more recent ones I bought, besides my Power Ranger statues, which I'll show you on the other side of the room. And then I've got my Carnage, and Angela there is a figure going all the way back to the mid-90s, which I did some things with in Spawn year. I don't remember who made that Venom, but I've had that forever. And then that Thanos is one of the first of this line of these Diamond figures that I got. My wife bought me that for my birthday and a few years ago, and that kind of turned into another new collection for me. And then that Shredder I bought in a sale, once again, at GameStop, with several other Power Ranger statues. One of these things was not like the others, but I got a really, really good deal on those, and I love his pose. And I don't know, I really like these statues that are on roofs. Anyway, let me see what folks are saying in the comments here. What was that Funko Pop on the last bookshelf? If we're talking about over here, that is a Professor X. and I think this is just a comic Professor X. There is now a movie line of these. There is a Patrick Stewart Professor X pop who I would really like to get at some point, but I have been leery of starting another pop collection because I made a rule with myself years ago that I would only buy Batman pops and not pops that are of Batman characters, but just the character Batman. And I'll show you that monster of a collection after a little bit as well. I collect Lord Zed, pretty hardcore. I have most toy versions of that character, and they're not all down here, but I need to make a shrine at some point to Lord Zed and put all those together. But anyway, that's what that pop is. And then, of course, I've talked about this whole collection, like I said, recently, so I won't go through that again, but that's what's over here. Here is the Superhero Rewind Unscripted pillow. And folks have asked me about this stuffed Spider-Man, this giant Spider-Man plush. Some folks have thought that he is a statue. He is not. He is a plush. He is bendy and squishy and lovable. My sister bought me this years ago. I've probably had that for 14, 15 years, almost as long as I've known my wife. But he looks good in the background, so that's where I have put him. He used to be upstairs in my kid's playroom, and I thought he looked really good for the backdrop. And I wanted to change things up here and there because I had a Batman there for a long time, and I still put him back there occasionally, but I'll just move them in and out depending on what I'm talking about. That's over here. And I have several displays like this that used to be in various stores. This came from Brandon. I don't know what store that was in. It looks like it had some kind of display in it. It looks like a clock, honestly. Like I'll show you it later. But I have a Batman and a Batgirl Lego clock that look just like this, that where that big hole is where the numbers are, where the clock is. But that must have been in some store somewhere. But I have a number of, like I said, store displays like that and cardboard cutout type things. I was not really ready, like set up for success today, apparently, because my mouth is really dried out. I'm gonna take a drink here real quick. Before we continue, I hope everybody is having a lovely evening. And thanks a bunch for being here. Let's see what else folks are saying. Like I said, this is not the most ideal way to do this. AMC, Cap, have you ever seen or purchased any of the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Masterwork statues? They only made like 4 of them, and I never had seen them back in the day, but they're great. No, I don't have any of those. I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't have any. What are the 4? I am not sure. SS Jerry, Cap, can you please do videos about what you recommend of comics and other media to get into specific characters? That would be a fun series. You know, it's really interesting you say that because just earlier today, and I wish I could tell you what the channel was. I just subscribed to it. I don't remember her name, but at some point I'll do another anime video and I'll mention her there. I watched a video today on animes that you should watch if you're into particular genres. It's a really well-made video from a couple of years ago. Just look up like anime recommendations. Search something to that effect in YouTube, and it's one of the first 2 videos that pops up at the top. And it got me thinking I should make more videos like that. People ask me all the time what things to watch to get into Star Trek, which is a video Sarah and I made years and years ago on Trek Spurts, but it might be time to do an update for that. I kind of want to do a thing called Star Trek is for Everyone and go to different episodes and particular series and parts of series, depending on what your interests are in different things, because Star Trek is so versatile. And yeah, it'd be great to do that for lots of other things as well. Okay, where should we go next? I guess I said I was going to go toward the arcade, so I'll go ahead and do that. Here is my collection of Batman statues. Again, most of this is plastic. There's a couple of resin things here And there, up here, of course, we have a couple of more giant Funko Pops. I really love these, in which I had more space for them. There's a Galactus out that I would really like to get, but I have no idea where I would put them. I'm really out of space for this kind of stuff right now. Despite how much space is in the bunker here, it does not take me long to fill space when I move into a new place. And I've been here 3 years now, and especially because of arcade machines, it's already getting difficult to put new furniture up on the walls, much less to find places for, big statues and things. But like I said, I've shown this stuff off before, so I won't take too long on it. But there's my Heath Ledger Joker figure. That's not a statue, but it might as well be. And I have always loved that because of the material for the clothes, and it's fabric. And then there's my Bane from the Diamond line. Down here, I've got a Kevin Conroy Batman, rest in peace, of course, and a Joker from that series. And the Joker is actually signed by Kevin Conroy, which I showed off when we did the Kevin Conroy tribute stream watching Mask of the Phantasm a couple of weeks ago. If I had had this statue already, Eric gave me this for Christmas 2-3 years ago. Thanks, Eric. It's one of my favorites now. I would have had him sign this, but I didn't, and I thought I could get away with having him sign the Mark Hamill Joker, even though, and I'd love to get that signed by Hamill, of course, but he's very expensive and doesn't do a lot of conventions, especially anything that gets close to me. But Joker is standing on Batman's head, so I thought I was kind of able to get away with that. And I'm really glad that I got to meet him a few years ago, of course. And then down here, we have an anime Batgirl, which I think is quite nice. And I really like her cape and her face. And my dad gave me this Poison Ivy, which is also from that Diamond series. And then down here is the first plastic statue I ever bought. I love this stuff because it doesn't look plastic. You'd never know it if you're just looking at it. So it's a really fun way to cheat and to have all this cool looking stuff without paying thousands of dollars for things that are easy to break and tend to break in shipping if you buy them online. But that was, I don't know who made that, but that was a figure, or pardon me, a statue that was at Barnes & Noble years ago, and I got on sale for, I think, $50. I think that was a $100 statue when it first came out. I do believe. Some more Batman stuff over here. Here's yet another animated series Batman statue. And another thing I could have had Kevin Conroy sign if I had had that when I met him. Next to that is a old Batman Forever figure that and I've never had the cape for that, by the way. I think I bought that at a yard sale or something when I was a kid, but I've had it forever. And it used to be on the other side of the room over here, but I've moved some things around a little bit. And then up here is my really great Michael Keaton Batman figure, which I did a review of a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, rather, when I bought that. Man, my voice is really giving out here. Pardon me, guys. I may have to pause after a little bit and just get some water or something. Anyway, we got some cool posters on the walls here and there. I've had a lot of the posters that are up right now for a couple of years at least, and I'm thinking about taking some things down and trading them out just to add a little bit of a different flavor here and there. I like moving things around. I thought about changing the entire bunker around at some point just for the heck of it. But of course, some things would have to stay just where they are, especially the arcade. And I don't know if I could get away with flipping like the Star Trek with Power Rangers or the Tick or something. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll show you all that stuff here in a second. Let's see what else folks are saying in the comments right now. AMC Comics, I still think that Spider-Man looks like Spider-Man 2000 Spidey, probably because they're both from the early 2000s. I think he's talking about this plush. Sorry, lots of comments here. Thank Thanks, guys. Side-scrolling Hero 16, love your videos, Cap. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for watching. Tom, I'm having an okay evening. I have COVID. Tom, I'm sorry to hear that you still have COVID, man. Side-scrolling Hero again. I know you're new to anime, but do any series or movies look interesting to you? Yes, certainly. And I'm not going to talk about that too much right now, but I really want to get back into that. I just realized today that it's been a year since I did my Death Note review, and I had intended that as the start of a series. I was doing it as a pilot to see if there was any interest, and I wasn't sure if I was going to keep going. There was plenty of interest. That video did really well. I just haven't gotten around to it, and somehow it's already been a year. So my apologies. I started watching Cowboy Bebop and stalled out on that in favor of some other things I was dealing with. And then I started watching a newer anime. What is the name of that? It's called High Rise something, I think. I can't remember. It's very strange. It's a really bizarre, trippy show about masked killers chasing people across rooftops and people in a different dimension that people get transported to. And God, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's somebody will be able to tell me. It's High Rise something rather. It's on Netflix, and these people are trying to become closer to God. I still don't know what that means. I haven't gotten far enough into it to fully understand that concept yet, but I don't know. I watched 11 or 12 of those and was planning on reviewing that, and then I fell off of that as well. So I don't know. I just can't finish anything. I'm so busy with family and the work and things, but anyway, I will get back to some anime soon, hopefully. AMC, with the figures or the statues we were talking about earlier, they're all based on famous Marvel comic storylines. There's a Spider-Man versus Green Goblin one, Galactus one, Mole Man versus FF, and Hulk versus Thing one. Oh, interesting. Okay. I didn't know that you were talking about something recent. Thanks, Code Anime Fan. Appreciate it. Oh, yes, AMC Comics. I did say that I had my Batman Forever. Oops. Yeah, for that time, he looks pretty good. He's got an okay likeness to Val Kilmer, I think. He's a little frowny for my taste, but I guess it's better than if he had that big smile on his face from the scene where he tells Nicole Kidman that he's, or that she tells him that she's found someone else who is actually him. Thomas Lowe, need more Star Trek stuff. Do you mean you need more Star Trek stuff, or I need more Star Trek stuff? I have plenty of Star Trek stuff, and I'll show you that after a little bit. I don't have an Egghead Pop, Code Anime Fan, and I'm pretty sure they've not made that. Adam Arch, I don't know how that's been a year. It's crazy. Oh, and by the way, there's my Death Note scroll. It's the only anime thing I own now. I liked that show enough that when I found this, I felt the need to buy it and display it so that I can go, look at me. I've seen a whole anime and I liked it. I've also passed up 3 or 4 times a Ryuk statue that I keep seeing at places for 50 or 60 bucks. It's another one of these plastic statues that I like a lot, and I'm thinking about doing that at some point. Rainbow Nightmare, have you seen the trailer for HBO's Last of Us? I'll try to check it out. Looks interesting. No, I have not. I thought it was weird that they were making that. That is such a story-driven game. I didn't see the point of that, but I may give it a chance. I'm not sure. I should probably finish the first game before I do that. I have started it. I didn't know that was HBO. I thought that was Amazon. Robert Wild, $5 super chat. Thanks, man. Everything you see in the Bat bunker is edible. The concrete, the plastic, the wires, the metal, everything. That would be great, except then I would eat my collection, and that would be a mistake. And also, I would have a hard time coming down here and not just constantly singing the song that I'm sure you're quoting from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. I thought about just carrying around a cane because of that movie, just to be obnoxious. No, I'm kidding. But it is fun to walk downstairs with children, like in that movie, and just stop them on a staircase. Hi, Slipmaker. Good to see you, man. Code anime fan, wow, you've got 2 posters of Jim Carrey's Riddler. He's fine and all, but he's no Gorshin. Yeah, but he does a decent Gorshin impression. I like these posters a lot. I actually found both of these, and like I have a lot of nostalgia for Batman Forever. I was a huge fan of that when it came out back in the day, of course, and I was a giant Jim Carrey fan as a kid. So that's still near and dear to my heart, regardless of, all the issues I have with that movie. And I actually found these both at the same time at a thrift store and couldn't pass them up. Adam March, I do need to replace my Riddler cane. That is true. SS Jerry, I don't see your video game question. Hold on. And then, guys, I'll get back to the tour here. Send it again. I don't see it, man. Sorry about that. Sometimes I think comments get lost with this phone setup. I have it set to show me all of them, but I'm not seeing the one you're talking about. Slipmaker, if you had a Riddler cane, what would the button in the handle do? That's great. It would be, I don't know, it'd be fun if it was just a flashlight or sent out streamers or maybe just played music. Maybe it plays that song that I was just singing for what is that called? Pure Imagination. Maybe it plays Pure Imagination. Anyway, okay, so I'm gonna get to the arcade here in a minute. I'm gonna swing around from here and just show you what's around in the Batman section first. I think next to the Batman statues. Wow, I've already been at this for 26 minutes. I have a collection of trades, which I've kind of stalled out on. I honestly haven't been buying print comics in general very much besides gap filling Bronze Age and Silver Age stuff and early modern in my singles, which of course is here, but all of my old trades for DC, Marvel, and other companies are here, or at least most of them, with the exception of Batman, which of course has its own section. So I won't go through all these right now. Again, I will at some point do a collection video of all of my comics, which will probably be several videos. I've even considered doing it as a 24-hour stream. It would be preposterous. Here is my singles, and I am 10,000 strong now. Like I said, I've stalled out the last couple of years on new stuff, but I still occasionally buy small collections and gap fill stuff, primarily lately through my dad, who still buys and sells comics quite a bit, and he's been passing along a lot of, at really good prices, by the way, a lot of stuff for older collections that I haven't really been able to add a lot to until recently. So my old 70s and 80s Daredevil collection and Amazing Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man, early Detective and Batman and that kind of stuff, I've been getting a fair bit of lately, but that's mostly what I've been doing with this collection. I'm not going to go through anything in particular at the moment, because again, at some point I will do a series on those, but here's a couple of neat things that I've got out. This is a sketch cover that I've shown off before, but I got this done at a convention. I have a couple of Lord Zeds. I've got another one that's 60s Batman fighting Lord Zed. That's not out right now. I don't know where that is. It's here someplace. But this one I've got in a nice plastic case. This is not graded or anything, but here is a comic that is. This is my only CGC graded. Whoa. Hold on. Pardon me, folks. This light is temperamental. And if you kick it, sometimes it turns off. I need to replace that. Anyway, this is a copy of Ninja Turtles number 58. This is the subscription cover. My dad gave me this for my birthday just this last year. One of the coolest things he's ever found for me. And this is, of course, from the IDW series, Tom Waltz, and it is signed by Kevin Eastman. So I've not met Eastman. I was at a convention he was at a few years ago, and would have had the opportunity if I stood in the line for 2 hours, but I think I was working that con, or I was doing something there, and I didn't have time to do that. But I think that was the last convention that Stan Lee was at here in Kansas City, and they were both there at the same time. So that was several years ago now. But anyway, I digress. I do have his signature, even though I have not got to meet him, and that was a really cool find from my dad. So thanks, Dad. Really appreciate that. Here's a couple of silly things I bought a few months ago when I was in, where was I? Branson, Missouri. There's a really cool flea market there, and there's a guy with a booth that has a lot of cool old pop culture stuff, including old cereal boxes that are in just brilliant, pristine condition. Here's the Batman and Robin cornflakes box. Look at the shape that thing's in. It's fantastic. I could not pass that up. And then here's the Batman Returns box. By the way, for those of you that watched the Captain Logan show where I complained about the lady that made fun of me for buying cereal boxes, these were the cereal boxes. I remember this Batman Returns cereal that tastes like a mix of Chex and Lucky Charms. Look at that. And again, I cannot believe the colors on this, just the shape that's in. And nobody tell him, but I bought one of these for Vince for Christmas, which I haven't given him yet. That's an old Ghostbusters box. I don't think he'll watch this. So again, nobody tell him about that. But it's a kind of rare Ghostbusters box. I don't have it out right here. That has a hologram on the front. And I paid a little bit for that. And he will be excited about that, I am sure. Okay, moving right along. So a few pop figures here. This is not the massive Batman pop collection. This is the overflow, partly because I don't have enough space over where all the Batman pops are for all of these, partly because they're not all Batmans, and the ones that are too tall for the shelves that I have over there. But you'll see in a minute why I'm using that, because it looks great and it is the perfect size for regular size Batman pops. But you look at, I knocked over Smallville X. Look at Smallville X. But you look at something like this Michael Keaton pop, and his ears are just a little bit too tall to fit on my regular pop shelves. I've also got some smaller statues here. That one in the middle was sent to me by one of our subscribers, David Crabtree, several years ago, and with Batman doing the Batusi there. And that's actually one of, believe it or not, one of two items I have that are Adam West Batman doing the Batusi. Look at that. Can you believe that? There's two of them. And then next to that are a couple of Arkham statues with a Catwoman and a Batman. And that Catwoman I found somewhat recently, and that Arkham statue, I can't even remember how I got him, honestly. But there he is. And then I've shown these off before. Of course, I mean, several of these things I have, I guess. So I'll try to quit saying that constantly. But I just keep feeling weird about the things that I've talked about a lot, but I have the entire set of 4 of the Batman Forever McDonald's glasses still in perfect shape, and I've always really liked these a lot, and I'm glad that I've got the full set. Here is the Mattel Batmobile from the 6-inch figure line, and you'll see more of the figures from that line here in a little bit. McFarlane has the license now and is making figures in almost the exact same scale, so I'm collecting now both sets. I've got pretty much all of Mattel, and then the only McFarlane figures I'm buying are the ones that Mattel never put out. And I guess if they make one that I like better, I'll probably buy that. But so far, I've liked the Mattel sculpts a little bit better, so I haven't felt the need to rebuy Batman and Robin or anything. I have a lot of not rare or anything, but just glasses that I've gotten as gifts and things over the years. Here is a set of Ninja Turtle glasses down there that I bought my wife a long time ago. They're just down here because they go with this stuff. And like I said, here are some pops that are mostly not Batmans, and some Batmans that just don't fit over there. Here is the collector's edition Joker from Arkham Origins, I believe. And I found that for a good price at a vintage stock years ago. I'll check comments again here in a little bit, guys. Here is a collection of Batmobiles. This one is weird. This is from a company called, I don't remember, I think Rides or something. Let me see. Ride Makers, that's what this is. And this was basically it's still there, by the way. I did this several years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago at Branson, Missouri. The same year, I guess it was 19, that I colored my hair purple for a couple months, which was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made. But I had a super chat goal, and you guys made me do that because I was silly enough to think that was a good idea, and I colored my hair purple. And just before that, I went to Branson, Missouri, and I went to this place called Ride Makers, which is basically Build-A-Bear for cars, and they had a Batmobile. So I actually put this together myself, and I chose the frame, and I chose this magnetic piece that goes on the top. I chose the grill and the wheels and everything. It was a little bit pricey. It's honestly a little bit overpriced, but it's neat looking. I like it a lot, and you can also set that up to have a remote control if you want to. I didn't do that, but maybe at some point, pardon me, sorry guys, I turned my phone off for a second. Maybe at some point I'll go back and get that done. That store is still there. But I do have a remote control 89 car, which I'll show you in a second, which I think Mattel made. Speaking of Mattel, here are a couple of really cool oversized Hot Wheels, and I actually bought the entire line of these on Facebook, and the lady that sold them to me accidentally sent me the wrong item. She sent me a Mandalorian figure, and I messaged her about it, and she was like, oh, oops, sorry, I switched yours with this other person's, and then I never heard from her again, and I never got my cars. So I'm bummed out about that, but I was supposed to have all of these, but I bought a couple of them at Target at one point. So this is also the car. I need to dust here, but this is the car from the Batman as well. And then this is a McFarlane Batmobile that you can put figures in that I bought because it's called the Raptor. And, of course, you guys know I'm obsessed with Velociraptors, and I thought this was a cool car design. It looks a little bit like the BVS car. It's kind of a cross between that and, I want to say maybe the Tumbler with the wheels in the back, but it's neat looking. And then there is an animated series Batman car. I don't remember the name of this line. It's a thing that's kind of competing with Pops in, just being kind of cutesy figures. What were these called? It's on the tip of my tongue. I think it starts with an O. I forget. There is the 89 Batmobile that's remote control from Mattel. And then again, sorry about the dust down here. I meant to do that today and I forgot all about it. But that is a model that I put together of the 60s car, and next to that is Joker Van. I used to have one of the first toys I ever owned was a really small kind of Micro Machines size version of this Joker Van. So when I found that at a flea market, I had to pick that up. And then down here is also a model that I put together. I'm not a big model guy, but a couple of these I got just so that I could have these cars of the BVS car, which I bought just before that movie came out. I'm not going to show you everything that's in these shelves here because you can't tell just looking at it, but there's a bunch of collectibles just shoved behind things in here. I don't have space to display everything real readily, so there's a bunch of stuff in here, and at some point I'll do a Batman collection video and show you all of this stuff. But there's those Lego clocks I was telling you about. There's another bigger Batman clock. The Mattel Batcave is down here. These are notebooks that have my Batman and some other things too, but Batman card collections. This one's actually not Batman, I guess. This is all a bunch of Marvel stuff, but I have all my old trading cards from when I was a kid. This one might be... Oh, this is the Tick. Maybe there's some Batman in here. No, this is all Tick. One second, folks. Okay, I'll go through the rest of this stuff here, and then I'll go ahead and look at comments. Here is, of course, the Shakespeare head. This was also sent to me by David Crabtree, so thanks to him. This is a bank, so it doesn't actually do anything. It would be cool if you could, turn that and make something appear, but alas, I don't have any fireman poles down here, but I've always wanted to do that. Then I've got the playsets that McFarlane recently put out, both for the 60s Batcave. I've got a lot of 60s Batman stuff down here. For the 60s Batcave, which I've recently illuminated with, it doesn't look as purple in real life, but when you see it photographed, it's really super uber purple with these can lights that I've got here. But there's the Batcave with several figures, and then here is, and I love this, it's so cool this even exists, the villain layer that McFarlane just recently put out. You can buy this at Target right now. I want to say full price, it's $30. The Batcave has been on sale recently for as little as 12 to 15. But I've got all 4 of the original villains, or pardon me, the villains from that movie, which is, of course, what this playset is from, the Villains United group. And, of course, that is a Julie Newmar Catwoman, not the Lee Merriweather from the movie. They've not put out a figure of her yet. I'm hoping that happens. There is an Eartha kit now. From the McFarlane line, which I have not seen in the wild yet. I haven't been ordering these. I've just been buying them when I find them. So I might just have to break down and order that. And then people have been making fun of me about where I have Mr. Freeze here because he's not invited to the party with the rest of these guys. Look, there's just not enough chairs, okay? Austin was like, oh, he looks like he's serving them. Like he's their waiter and they're at a restaurant. But I love all of the accessories that come with these playsets. They're really super cool, and I just finally got these on display over the weekend. They were sitting over in this corner for the longest time. I just didn't have a place for them. And a couple more figures from the Mattel set are down here, the Joker and Batman on surfboards. Those also McFarlane has made already. The only things I haven't bought from McFarlane besides Eartha Kit that Mattel didn't have are black and white versions of Batman and Robin, which I just don't feel the need to own, really. I'm going to be a completionist for characters, but not necessarily variants with this collection. And I'm showing all this off right now because I didn't make a video on it when they came out, but here's the Bat Cycle. I'm hoping eventually they make a helicopter. That might be wishful thinking, but I would love to have that. Here's the most recent figure I bought just this weekend. I don't know if you can tell with the purple. Let me pull him off, but this is Alfred as Batman. I couldn't even tell right away in the box that that's what that was. I was like, it's just another Batman? What is that? And then I looked closer and I was like, oh crap, I'm going to have that. Look at the drooping ear. What a good detail. But yeah, so I was really excited that they put that out. Especially because I knew I was going to make this video sooner. And I was like, oh cool, I'm going to have another figure to put in the middle of all of this. And then I've got Batgirl back there next to the atomic pile. Okay, let's take a look at comments. And then finally, 40 minutes after I said I would, I'm going to show you guys the arcade space here. What are folks saying? Let me flip the camera back around for a minute. Actually, I'm going to come back over here and grab another sip of a beverage. Oh, okay, AMC Comics. Those Spider-Man things you were talking about earlier, I wasn't understanding that you meant that they were older. Sorry for drinking in front of everybody here. Hold on. I guess I could have waited to flip my camera. Let me scroll up here for a second, because I've been doing this for a while, and there are a lot of comments. Okay. Oh, sorry about my hand, everybody. Adam Arch, assuming Batman is the largest part of your comics collection, is Spider-Man second? Batman is not the largest part of my comic collection, I don't believe. It should be. You'd think it would be. I'm going to sit down for a second. You would think it would be, but because of collections that I've bought out, and just the stuff that I've been fortuitous to run into over things I haven't, I actually think the largest collection is probably X-Men, if you count Wolverine with it, because I have a lot of Wolverine too. But it might actually be Spider-Man. I'm not sure. The top 3 are probably X-Men, Spider-Man, Batman. Sorry, I have to scroll up again here Robert Wild, hopefully you'll be able to get a real atomic pile someday. That sounds illegal. AMC, there's a lot of cool merch for those 490s Batman movies. I remember when I got this cool Forever dinnerware set, not the McDonald's glasses, I was thrilled. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. That's neat. Oh, Code Anime Fan was talking about Lex and thought it was that guy. I see. Everybody's talking about cornflakes. Thomas Lowe, I remember the early days of the channel where you'd go through the comics. Good time, miss those days. Do you mean like when I would buy comics on my pull every week and go through them? I miss doing that as well, but I don't like current comics enough to keep up with them like that. And I have, or at least I haven't, the few things I've tried to sample. I'm sure there's stuff here and there that I would love to be pulling, but I just haven't been interested enough to keep up with it. And I've been putting my money in other places. And, you know, I was committed to that for a straight 8-9 years, almost a decade. And it has been nice to try some other things and put my money in some other places. And don't get me wrong, I still love comics, and it's not like I've completely abandoned them, but it's just been nice to be able to focus on some other collections too. SS Jerry, where is your video game collection, and do you have them in a separate spot from your other games? I don't know what you mean by that from my other games, but yeah, I've got video games in 2 different spaces. I've got some down here, and I'll show you some of that, and then I've got most of my cartridge stuff, my retro games, upstairs in my game room, which is laid out kind of like a living room, mostly for old console games. That's where my Saturn is, and my Super Nintendo, NES, Genesis, etc., etc. Robert Wild, yep, that Joker statue is from the US Collector's Edition of Arkham Origins. I actually got the UK version, which comes with a different statue. Mine has Batman and Joker. Interesting. I've never seen that. How'd you get that? Did you just order it? Because I know you don't live in the UK. Sorry, I'm just reading comments here, guys. Robert Wild, don't forget the Bat Rocket. Yeah, we'll never see that. It would be really neat if they would merchandise some things from the animated movies, but I don't think we'll ever see that. Rainbow Nightmare, Cap, I've been burning. Oh, don't burn. I love the warm feeling. Have you ever watched Michael Bay's Pain and Gain? No. Pardon me, guys. I'm sneezing. Goodness. My apologies. I'm not still sick, guys. I know it seems like I am. I was just a little parched before we started, I guess, and I wasn't drinking the right thing to make this video, and then I started sneezing. For some reason. No, it is, Robert Wild. The atomic pile is illegal. It's atomic. You can't put that in your basement. Robert Wild, I've been on the channel since the days when Cap had a fully functional Riddler cane. You remember that? I'll buy it again. I passed it up a couple times at Halloween stores. He also says he got that collector's edition on Amazon. The UK version was cheaper than the US one at the time. Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. Well, oh, God bless X2 Cap. Yeah, look at that. Oh, hold on. I gotta flip my camera. I guess you can't look at that. You were looking at it. It was behind me. I've had that poster forever. That actually came from Vince. He gave me some of his old comic posters when he decided he didn't want them anymore. It's not COVID. I'm not sick. Okay, let's look at my arcade. So I've been collecting arcade one-up machines for 3 years now. I started with Galaga, and for a long time, or not even a long time, I honestly went kind of crazy the first year and bought too many of these. But for a little while, that Galaga machine was over here where the Batman statues are. and I just had it in this little corner here, and that's where I played it. And then from there, I won't tell you the whole order of all of this, but from there, I bought Street Fighter real cheap on Facebook Marketplace. Then I bought Marvel Superheroes at a Walmart for, I think the price tag was like $400. I bought Ninja Turtles shortly thereafter. That was when I ordered. And then I bought Mortal Kombat. And so from there, it just kept growing and growing. Now I am at capacity. I do not have space for any more of these. Maybe someday if they like, I think at the moment where Arcade One Up is at, I'm pretty good on the ones I have. They've recently released Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which would be a really cool machine to have, of course. And that was a big dream that a lot of people, like a pipe dream for a lot of people. We didn't think they'd ever get the license and be allowed to put that out. It was a big deal when they did. Killer Instinct was a big deal too. That was an even bigger deal. And yet, I have not really felt the need to get that one. I mean, I would wait until there was a sale because they're too expensive these days. I've talked about this some. I don't want to get too much into issues I have with the way Arcade One Up is doing things these days, but they're kind of overpriced now. You have to wait for sales. They do sales a lot, which has some people worried that they're kind of already on their way out and that they're having problems because the kind of perceived value of the machines because they keep going on sale is a lot less than what their full price at. So like they keep adding bells and whistles and things and blaming like I don't know prices of things going up and shortages and stuff for why the price points are like $700-800 a lot of them when they come out now versus the $400-500 or less that they were when they started. It also depends on the machine because some things cost more because of what they are. But anyway. I already have a really cool way to play Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and we play Marvel Superheroes all the time. So I don't know if I'm ever going to get that one, but at the moment, that's probably the other one. Besides maybe a Miss Pac-Man, just because it's kind of weird that I don't have a dedicated Pac-Man machine to go with my Galaga. And whenever my mom comes over, she wants to play that. I don't have it. You can play Pac-Man on this machine, which is a main cabinet that I have built into, I shouldn't say cabinet, I guess, but it's a main machine that has a bazillion games on it, and it's also got, it's built into a coffee table, it's got a Raspberry Pi in it, it also has all of Super Nintendo, all of NES, all of Genesis, lots and lots of stuff, most of the libraries of the handhelds from that era, and everything is emulated really well. And so there's lots of stuff that you can play there, certainly, but there's a few things that would still be kind of nice to have dedicated. Maybe at some point I'll run an extension cord and put some stuff on this wall if I feel the need to extend it farther, but I really like what this wall looks like. I really like my Batman art wall, and I kind of don't want to break it up just to get more arcade machines. I have 12 right now. I think I'm good. If I ever get any more, I think instead of doing what I just said, I'm a lot more likely to just get rid of one or two that we're not playing very much. So the one that I bought most recently, we'll just start here and I'll go all the way around, is Killer Instinct, which I thought I would have to wait longer before I bought this. It's $700 new. It comes with the stool. Mine's got everything that it originally came with. It's got the rare... not rare, like it's hard to get, but that's the company that made Killer Instinct. Riser that comes with it. And the reason I went ahead and bought mine is because I got a really good deal on it, and it was custom and had some bells and whistles on it that the guy that sold it to me had done to it. So it has a better marquee. This has, in the quality of it is wonderful. It looks really good. The marquee actually has the Nintendo logo on it, which the Arcade One-Up one does not, because they don't have a license with Nintendo, but Nintendo did work in conjunction with Rare to originally put this cabinet out, so it's more authentic that way, and it's got this really cool light up. So that marquee lit up in the first place, but the console did not. And it looks really cool with the red. The coin the kind of fake, because you can't put coins in this, but they look good. It looks like you can. But the coin op bits there light up as well. That wasn't that way with the original, of course. And he also put better buttons and sticks on it, and it has these really cool spinal, um, whatever you call these things that go under the sticks, and it looks really neat. I'm not being very articulate. Anyway, it is my favorite arcade cabinet right now. I've always loved Killer Instinct. I played it a lot more on the N64 than I did at arcades, but it's so much fun to play with a stick, and it's really addictive. My kids love it. We've been playing a ton of that, so it was really worth it. I got it for almost $300 less than it is retail, and with all these extra bells and whistles, so I got really lucky on that one. Let's go to the left. I already told you a little bit about the main cabinet. That whole thing, of course, is custom, again with the Raspberry Pi. Here is NBA Jam. That is a recent addition to the 1UP library from, year and a half, 2 years ago. I got it for Jason for Christmas last year, and he loves that machine, plays it quite a bit. Galaga, again, the one I started with, I said Killer Instinct is my favorite. It's my favorite new machine. My favorite arcade machine of all time is Galaga. And my dad comes over and plays that with me. That's been a big pastime of ours for a long, long time. My dad used to roll Galaga machines when he was younger. He won tournaments all the time. He was like a champion Galaga player. I'm not to that level, and he's not anymore either, but I'm working on it. I thought about doing a blog series where I just play Galaga and talk about whatever is on my mind. I thought that might be a fun thing to do at some point, if I could find the time. Just do like a daily blog and see how far I could get in Galaga, and I don't know, after half a year or a year, see how much better I get just playing on camera. I don't know. If that sounds cool to you, let me know. I'm still considering doing that. Here is Marvel Superheroes. And like I said, you can get Marvel vs. Capcom 2 now, which has all of these games, and besides the Punisher, but all the Capcom fighters with Marvel, along with so these games, but also it's got X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and maybe Marvel Superheroes versus Capcom. I can't remember what else is there, but I also can play all of those on my main cabinet as well. Here is the Ninja Turtles machine, which of course is a big nostalgic thing for me, and still a big deal to me, and wonderful that I've got that down here. You can also, so that's also got Turtles in Time on it, and you can buy a Turtles in Time cabinet now that is that artwork instead of this, and has both games on it still. I don't feel the need, of course, to have both of them, but also if I had to only pick one, this would be the one. Here are the digital pinball machines. Arcade 1UP has made 3 of these. I have 2, and I don't really have any intention of getting the third one. That's the Williams cabinet, which is neat. It's got a lot of classic Williams tables on it. Mine are the Marvel and the Star Wars machines, as you see there. I've talked about these at length in other videos, at least the Marvel one, so I won't talk too much about this right now, except just to say that they teamed up with Zen Pinball to put these out. I've been a big fan of their digital machines on consoles for a long, long time. Started with Marvel all the way back in 2011, 2012 on the Xbox 360, and they've made some 25, 30 Marvel cabinets. This one has 10, and the Star Wars table has 10. I like the selection with Marvel a little better than Star Wars. There's a couple of choices with Star Wars, well, with Marvel too, but with Star Wars more that were a little bit questionable, and a couple of things I wish they'd put on there instead. But overall, it's wonderful, and it's really fun to have these, and they play surprisingly, shockingly similarly to a real machine. They've got kickback. You can shake the table, and it actually alters where the ball goes. The physics is really good. So we play these a lot. And then coming over here, I've got 4 more cabinets. None of these have risers. I finally have risers for enough of my machines that I could do a whole row of risered ones. I still need to buy risers for these, although I'm not in a hurry because my kids like to sit down and play more than standing, and so I've got them okay with the ones I've got on risers on the other side, but they are happy to have some that they can just sit down at. These are getting a little bit more playback here than they were before, because I've got Mortal Kombat 2 back here, and that's one of Jason's favorite games of all time. He loves unlocking characters and figuring out combos and trying to do finishing moves and stuff. But the other three cabinets next to that are the ones that get the least amount of play. I bought Rampage for my wife along with the Marvel pinball machine. That guy gave me a really good deal on both together, and I knew my wife loved Rampage, but she's not a huge fan of arcades, just arcade controls. She'd prefer to play that with a controller or a keyboard, so she hasn't really played it a lot, but my kids really like it. And I played it some. And then Space Invaders, we haven't played as much just because it's hard and none of us are very good at it. But Freddie really likes Space Invaders, so I bought that cabinet for him. And Street Fighter 2, none of us are big Street Fighter guys, even though we like a lot of fighters. We are Virtua Fighter people through and through. That's kind of our top main, me and my kids, main franchise. But of course, we like the Capcom games a lot and Killer Instinct and stuff like that. So we are trying to get more into Street Fighter, and that's why I bought that machine, but it doesn't get a ton of play. Anyway, so that is the arcade side of things, and I also have an original Virtua Fighter cabinet upstairs in the game room because it was too large to come down the staircase to clear the doorway. So I've shown that off before too, but that also has a Raspberry Pi built into it, and I had the guy that made this one put that together for me. Oh no, can I get rid of the sex bots? Yes, I can. Good, I didn't know if I could do that on this setup. Okay. Just want to see what folks are saying right now. Adam Art, shocked you haven't picked up X-Men from 1UP. And it's funny that you say that because that's actually what I have running right now on the main machine, which you probably noticed earlier when I was filming over here. But anyway, yeah, I've never been the biggest fan of that game, and like I don't know that I need more than one like 4-player beat 'em up. Ninja Turtles doesn't get played as much as I thought it might, and we hardly ever play it like 4 of us at once. So I'm just not sure it would get played enough. And I think, as much as I love X-Men in general, like I said, I don't have a lot of nostalgia for that particular machine, and if I had to pick one more beat 'em up that Arcade 1UP has, it would be the Simpsons game. But again, I can play both of those 2-player emulated really well on the main cabinet. Oh, sorry, Daniverse, if my face was too close. Yes, Thomas Lowe, that was a custom design. Jareth Gearhart, I'm going to have to think about getting that Marvel one. I didn't know I'd have more than one game. Yeah, all of 1UP machines have at least 2, if not more games. That was an earlier one. A lot of them these days will have as many as 8 or 12 games. And of course, if they wanted to, they could put more than that on there because it's just emulation. But they're trying to sell as many cabinets to people as possible, and crazy people like me who want a whole home arcade are buying a bunch of dedicated cabinets, even though you could just get a main machine or 2 and just have one and have every game you want to play. But it's a lot of fun to have a setup like this and to have lots of people come over for parties and just to have the feel of an arcade. I should mention, by the way, that I recently set up a lot of the lights that you see now. So this is just this weekend, the purple Christmas lights that I put up everywhere. I don't plan to just leave that for Christmas. That's going to be the arcade lighting. Let me know what you think of that in the comments. I'm really happy with it. I think it looks really cool. It's maybe even nicer when you turn off a couple of the lights over here. I illuminated this a lot more just so you guys could see everything over here, especially because I want to show you the Batman Pop collection down here. But usually this light is off, and so it's a little bit more low lit like your standard arcade, and so it's got some nice mood lighting. And then I also, while I was buying lights this weekend, got this globe thing that you see on the floor there. that creates this cool effect in this nook back here, where I have some more store displays. The Lego Batman display, the Arkham City display, which I won back when Arkham City came out over a decade ago now in a contest. Yeah, I actually won second place in a video game contest. Can you believe that? And I think my prize was cooler than the first place prize. The first place prize was actually that Batman statue. The small one that you saw over there, which, like I said, I don't remember how I got that because I didn't get in that contest, but I somehow wound up with it later. This Death of Superman poster is signed by Dan Jurgens. Again, I've not met him, but I just found it that way. And I have a Reign of the Superman poster there. Here's some props from Spawn year. And I've got a lot of the props just put away in boxes right now, but these I've left up because they're kind of easy to display back here. I want to, at some point, I've mentioned this before, but I want to get a mannequin and display the old Spawn costume. Yeah, maybe I'll get that done at some point. A couple of cool Batman posters there. And then, of course, I'm not going to go through all these. I will do a collection video about this at some point. I say that. The problem with it, of course, is that I have all these out of box, which is probably blasphemy to some pop collectors, but I'm telling you, I would not have the space to own all of these if I kept them all in box. And some of them were so much cooler when you take them out of the box than you'd ever realize. If I did a video on this, I would almost have to do some research and figure out what they're all called. Because, pardon me, since I got these all out of the boxes, it's not like I've got it all memorized. So I don't remember the names of a lot of the different colored ones, just palette swap figures. Some of it I know what it is, and some of it I don't write off. I am up to beyond 100 of these. I think I'm up to about 110. There are still, believe it or not, a bunch I don't have. I can't tell you what the number is of how many exist, even beyond like really expensive, crazy, Comic-Con exclusive things. And just really rare things like Zur-En-Arrh Batman, which I'll never get because that's like a $200 pop, and things like that. Or the Conan O'Brien, the first Conan O'Brien Batman figure, which was a Comic-Con exclusive from, I don't know, probably 7-8 years ago. That is $150, $200 pop. We actually found it, DJ and I, out of box at a store in Georgia for like $125 or $150. It's crazy. But even beyond that, there's probably still a good 50 or 60 I don't have. Again, of just Batmans. And as I've said before, my rule on these is I only buy Batmans or characters that look like Batman and have bat ears. So I buy Batgirls. I buy Bruce Waynes that are wearing a Batman outfit without a mask. I haven't really bought Bruce Waynes that are just a Bruce Wayne because it's not technically Batman. He's not wearing a Batman suit. But I might at some point change that and still get those two. I don't know. So like there was a Bruce Wayne from Gotham. I never bought that because he's not wearing a bat suit. But then, there's goofy stuff like here's the Joker from Batman White Knight. He's Joker, so that's not a Batman. But look, he's holding a Batman pop. So that Batman is technically a Batman pop, so I bought that. There's also a giant, like, what is it, 100-inch figure? I can't remember. There's this huge, it was $100 when it came out. It's probably more now. Batman figure Batman pop. I could not decide if I was going to get that and count that. Of course, I did get the huge The Batman pop, which you saw earlier next to the 89 Joker. Because I really like it. I think my rule is the only ones I have to get as close to completion as possible are the regular scale ones. So I don't think I have to own the really huge mammoth one, but it would be neat to have. But I do count these. So I've got the rides, the couple of these they've made. That's what they call those, and then the kind of diorama figures. This is my favorite. with the Catwoman that's all gummed up with poison ivy tentacles. Or tendrils, I should say. But anyway, it's massive. It's ridiculous. It's another thing that I'm kind of out of space for. And again, most of them are here, and then you saw a few on the other side of the room earlier. So let me flip back and look at comments again, and we will continue. We have seen now the majority of the bunker except for the Star Trek areas. So we'll go over there here in a little bit. Thomas Lowe, what's the contest about? Oh, it was just it was like a tournament where you had to play, I'm blanking on what that's called, but just the mode where you have to fight a whole bunch of goons all at once. And I had been playing Arkham Asylum a lot leading up to that, and I didn't even know that that was going to happen, but I had practiced for it on accident, so I was doing really well with it. We also haven't seen the tick area, right? Well, that's true, yeah. So we'll look at that here in a minute. So yeah, the tick and the Power Ranger stuff is right next to me here. Cody Anime Fan, your Batman pop collection looks amazing. Thank you. Collecting every pop of Batman sounds too hard because they make so many. Yeah, and part of the reason is because Batman was #1. So the pops are all numbered. They each have a number in the corner. And Batman was officially the first pop. It is #1. So I think that's a big deal for pop. And of course, Batman is ripe for a million different kind of figures because there's so many different variations, and Batman's from different continuities, and Batman's wearing different kinds of suits and that sort of thing. Robert Wild, there's a new Batman Funko Pop I saw at a Target of him in the black suit based on the Grant Morrison JLA run. I have not seen that. That's awesome. One of the most recent ones I bought, I should show you guys this. I have not been as active about this collection lately as I had been, but when I find them in the wild, I still buy them. This is another collection where my rule is I don't order them, I just buy them in the wild. Here is Gingerbread Batman. He is wonderful. What else are folks saying here? I can't get the chat up here. AMC Cap, do you ever play your newer arcade 1-up machines online? The only ones I have that do that are Killer Instinct, which I haven't tried that with yet. I just assume that I'm going to suck, and I don't really like playing fighting games with people online, besides friends, usually. So I haven't done that yet. I might. And I tried NBA Jam once or twice, and it is, I got to be honest, at least the last time I tried it, it was a little bit fickle. It disconnected every so often. It was a little choppy. So I don't know if my connection down here just wasn't good enough for it, with the wireless or what. Hayden Spring, I have that rule with Transformers, but now I can't find any of those I want, so my rule might break. Yeah, that becomes problematic, because it's real tempting, right? Because, I mean, the internet's right there, and you can just order things, and more, it's sad to say, I don't want to be negative, but more and more people are not feeling the need to go to brick and mortar stores, and a lot of things are closing, and a lot of stuff is online exclusive in the first place. Do you have a favorite and least favorite Batman pop? I probably do have a least favorite. My favorite overall, again, probably is this Batman with the Catwoman with the poison ivy. I just think that that's a really cool, provocative piece. But beyond that, with the regular ones, I just haven't looked at these super close in a while. One of them is Hardak Batman from Batman the Animated Series. I love that they did that. I love that they did 2 variations of it. So there's the one where only part of his face is a robot, and then one where all of his human face has come off. Beyond that, I like the Keaton Batman with the Riddle quite a bit. Boy, there's one that drove me nuts that I had to buy because I thought it was really dumb, but I'm not right here in the moment remembering which one it was. Um, I'm not the biggest fan of all of the Dark Knight's metal Batmans. So like I had to get the Aquaman one, and some of those are a little bit lame, but some of them look great. Batman Who Laughs, they did a good job on him. This like graffiti Joker is kind of silly looking. I never really cared for that one. I don't know if it's my absolute least favorite, but it's odd. I don't love it. Anyway, okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of this side. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking when I said just the Star Trek area. I guess we do still have this side over here to deal with. So I've done a whole video on my tick collection. I've not added a lot to that even since I made that, and that was several years ago now. But I've stalled out on that for the most part. Every now and again, I'll find something and add that to the collection, but it was pretty complete anyway, which is why I haven't done a lot to it. But I have every figure from the 90s in box. I'd love to have those out of box at some point, just so my kids can play with them, because it was Bandai. They're really good figures. Some of the more recent things are the enclosed. I haven't taken these out of box because Tick is the one collection where if I find it in perfect shape, I leave it that way. But I do have both of the pops that they made for that series. So there's the regular Tick, and then there's the Comic-Con glow-in-the-dark Tick. That one cost a little. That was like a $60 pop, which is probably the most I've ever paid for one. I typically don't spend too much on pops if I can help it, but Tick I try to be as complete with as possible. Honestly, some of this stuff is kind of knocked over, and I need to kind of rearrange this and dust over here and stuff. But again, talked about this before, but I have some really goofy, strange things with the Tick because I bought everything I could get my hands on. So, like, I have a box of Band-Aids. I have the lunchbox with the thermos. I had to buy those separately and put them together. I have, like, towelettes from the Amazon Tick series. I don't know why that exists. They were just trying to sell that real hard when after that pilot came out, and they finally had the first half of the first season out. That whole thing still hurts my feelings. That didn't continue. But anyway, down here is superhero board games and card games, of which I have quite a few. Here is the IDW Ninja Turtles game, which I bought primarily to paint Ninja Turtles figures, and I still haven't learned to play that. I need to do that. There is a Batman game. Is it over here, or did I put it somewhere else? I don't even know where that is. There's a Batman game that I wanted really badly. That was like $100, and it had paintable figures, and it looks awesome. And I finally got it a year ago for around my birthday. I guess more than a year ago now, and I still haven't learned to play it. And now I don't even see it. What did I do with that game? Anyway, it's somewhere. Okay, so then I still have my wall of Tick posters that I put up when I first moved here. Have not changed that really at all. Over here is my collection of Power Rangers, of statues, and I have everything but Green Ranger, who for some reason is rare and really expensive, and I'm sure that's only going to get worse now that, unfortunately, Jason David Frank has died. We did a video the day we found out about that, and I was just shocked and confused and had a hard time even believing that it had happened. And then the more I thought about it, the weirder I took that. And I know I'm not alone in that, but I have taken Jason David Frank's death weirdly hard, just because I don't even completely know why. Like Jason David Frank, the man, was not exactly my favorite person or anything. I don't know how much of it has to do with my nostalgia for Power Rangers or for um or just because it was a suicide or what exactly. But I gotta be honest with you guys, like I was a little down that first week after that happened, and it made me very unmotivated. And anyway, it's it's a really weird thing. I don't want to be a downer, but like I've not taken it well, and maybe part of it is that and Conroy in the same month. We keep losing people that were part of my childhood that are cool that I cared about at least their work. Bob from Sesame Street died today or yesterday. The guy that wrote the best songs from that show, he was 90, so he lived a good long life, but he just passed away. Like it just feels like we're losing everybody, and it's really sad. Anyway, these statues are awesome, and I bought all of them within 2 or 3 weeks of each other because I found really good deals on about half of them at like I said, GameStop, and then I ordered the rest. These I did not have that rule for. I just went ahead and got them, but I still need Green Ranger. I don't know if that'll ever happen. And then this is now one of my favorite things in my collection. This is the Lightning Collection Lord Zed helmet, which I've done a review on. You can go watch that if you're curious. To know more about it, it has a silly voice synthesizer that is not great, but it looks awesome. Just sitting there, and it's very authentic looking. It's another thing that from farther away kind of looks metallic. It looks like it might not be made out of plastic, and the build on it is wonderful. The brain, I don't know if you can see it because I don't want to pull it down and I'm very short, but the brain is actually kind of squishy. And it's not just a cheap hard plastic like I thought it might be. This is my dedicated Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid table, and I've had this here for a couple of years now, actually a little bit longer than that. Huge hobby for me and my kids. We still play this pretty frequently. Before the girls were born, we played this almost every day, but now it's maybe once every week or two. We'll get a game going, and it's huge. It's gotten massive. This is the wall of boxes now. That's how huge it's gotten. There's nothing in most of those boxes. I have a really good storage system for all of this. Here are the boxes of cards. I just whip these out and throw them on my lap whenever I need to pull anything out of them. I've got a really good organized system there. I'm not a real organized person usually. I was really smart and made an exception with this game because there's so much of it, and I'm all in on this game. I buy everything that comes out as soon as it comes out. I back all the Kickstarters or do all the pre-orders now. They're not Kickstarters anymore. One of the coolest things in this game now is, and by the way, I'm hoping to do more videos on this soon if I can find the time. I wanted to start doing kind of regular, occasional solo games. I did one several months ago, and I haven't gotten back to it. I really want to do an all Tommy game as a tribute to Jason David Frank. We actually did one of those, Freddie and I, recently, so you can see. We've got Black Ranger from Dino Thunder there, Turbo Red, White from Mighty Morphin, and there's Lord Draken, who's the boss in the game that we played, and then we were going up against evil Green Ranger and evil Robot Tommy. And anyway, one of the coolest things that's in this game now is the Zordon Dice Tower, which actually is paintable. You can pull the lid off here and take all this apart and actually paint Zordon, and I just have not gotten around to doing that yet. I love the painting side of this hobby. It's a thing I got into real hardcore when I started, and as you can see, most of the figures on the table here are table ready. They are painted, except for the Tangas, but I have not gotten around to Zordon yet, and it's been a while since I've really done much painting, so I hope to get back to that soon. But anyway, it is just what it sounds like. It's a dice tower. And it is ridiculous and super fun, and a thing I always hoped they would make. and it actually exists now. It's wonderful. Here's the box for it over here. But yeah, I still highly recommend this game, and even if because it's very expensive, certainly. I don't want to candy coat what kind of a commitment this hobby is, but if you love Power Rangers, even if you're not a big tabletop person, maybe give it a try because you might be like me and find that it represents the show so well. It's so much fun doing a competitive thing and not that I don't like competition, but it is fun doing a different thing and playing something where you're just kind of like a video game playing against the game. There's also a really good solo mode now, so you don't have to have other people to play with. It is, of course, fun that way, but it's also fun to play by yourself. But I was just going to say that even if you don't want to take the plunge and do the full-on commitment, the original box still has some of the best Rangers in it. It is not the kind of game where you start with some lame things and you have to throw a lot of money at it before it's worth playing. If all you ever own was that box, there's plenty there to do, and it's definitely worth the 50 or 60 bucks. It's on sale quite a bit. It originally was 80. You can find it for 50 or 60, quite a bit. Highly, highly recommend it. And I'll also say that if you don't want to go all in, but you've got $100, $200 to drop on this. Let's say you buy the initial box and you really enjoy the game and you go, I'd like to add a few things to it, but I don't need this. I don't need the couple grand that it would cost to go all in and buy everything. And I got, by the way, lucky with a collection when I first started, so I didn't spend quite that much. But it's a $200-$300 commitment a year right now. But I would say the big things, and some of this depends on what your nostalgia is, but I'll say just for gameplay mechanics and the stuff that is the most powerful teams, or just Rangers that are really fun to play with, monsters that are really fun to play with, you have to have the base box to do anything, of course. And then after that, I would highly recommend Zeo Rangers. That's one of the most powerful teams ever. The Tommy Oliver pack. And I would also say, sorry, I'm just looking for the box, Dino Thunder, which is a little bit more recent. But those are the three big things that I would say. And then if you want another big box, I would say either Shattered Grid or Rise of the Psycho Rangers, the Space Ranger stuff. Okay, I'm going to flip my camera back around. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, I should probably also show you the crazy figure collection. So this is all foot soldiers and monsters. As you can see, some of it's painted, a lot of it still isn't. I've got a long, long way to go. I've been in this for 2 years or more, and I still have a bunch of painting to do. And I feel like I've done so much already. Because of the purple light over here, the colors are a little bit distorted. But some of the most fun things to paint were Captain Crayfish and Rito Revolto and Goldar right next to him. And then Brandon actually found me this case, which was fortuitous because I ran out of space pretty quick. So as you can see, that big wooden shelf is the same as the one over here. My dad found me those. Those were actually custom built for Hot Wheel cars. And the guy that I had a Hot Wheels collection passed away, and those got sold to my dad's store. And he called me up and thought I might want them for pop figures. And I decided to use one for the pops and the other for Power Ranger figures. And at the time, they all fit there. I'm at a place now where, again, pretty much out of space, I had to use this case just for Rangers. We are up to, I think, 66, or no, I think it's over 70 now, in individual unique Rangers in the game, which is crazy. And as you can see, I've painted more Rangers probably than I have monsters. But all of the unpainted stuff here, most of it is a little bit newer. There is Dino Thunder White he was difficult. That was a little bit of pain, and I basically had to do him twice because there's also an evil version that's a monster. But I've painted both of those. Here's the whole Hyperforce team. Most of them are done. There's Space, which some of those need touch-ups. I'm not real happy with how those turned out. Here's Zeo. But some of this newer stuff, like I said, I haven't done yet. And then a lot of Mighty Morphin, of course. These are my battle damaged variants. I just did them up that way myself because I thought it was fun. I did Vias in kind of metallic armor because I had 2 sets of them. And then Vias, the originals, a couple of them are on the table right now, were already painted when I bought them from the collection I bought out. And there's Bulk and Skull as Rangers. Okay, hello again. I'm gonna go sit down and have a drink again. Not like an alcoholic beverage, because people keep making fun of me for getting drunk on camera. I just did it that one time, at least recently, a couple weeks ago. Got a little tipsy on camera. No, I'm just drinking sweet tea this evening. Anyway, I'm going to take a break. And I'm not leaving, but I'm going to take a break and chat with you guys for a minute, and then we'll look at the rest of the bunker. We've already been at this for an hour and a half. I can't make live streams that are less than 2 hours now, but I've really been enjoying showing you guys stuff, and because you guys are watching live and I'm getting questions and things, it's been more natural to go a little bit more in depth and show off more stuff, so hope you've had a good time with me. I want to see what folks are saying. Oh, yes, Busted Sim. That just happened today. Kirstie Alley passed away as well. I just found out about that a few hours ago. Hayden Spring, I want to play Heroes of the Grid, but none of my other friends are Power Rangers people, and the price is a little steep. Well, like I said, check out my video from a few months ago where I show you how to play, where I demonstrate solo mode, and see if that looks like fun to you, because it is worth getting to play by yourself, I think. And like I said, there's enough in the initial box that I think it's worth getting it and learning it. And then maybe over time, every so often, you can grab another set. The Ranger, and by the way, Renegade is not paying me to say any of this. I just adore the game and I adore that company. I am best customer service, at least so far, that you will ever find with any company. They are so good about like replacing cards if you lose something and things like that. Really consumer friendly, which is part of the reason that I support that game so hard. But I digress. But yeah, the Ranger packs and monster packs or villain packs are full price, usually $35 to $40. But again, occasionally they go on sale. And check eBay, because I have run into a couple of really good deals on collections. When people that are into board games, real hardcore, go all in on a game, they tend to write it out for a while, and if it's not a big enough deal for them, they'll sell their whole collection in favor of something else they're getting into at a really nice discount. And board game people are meticulous about keeping their stuff in good shape. So, like, if you buy a collection or a lot from somebody that's real hardcore into board games, you'll probably get something nicer than you would get it if you bought it just from the box. The collection I bought had everything in colored card sleeves, and everything was like really well organized. It had like rule sets and scenarios and things printed off, and like in a notebook, and it was immaculate and in cooler shape than if I had just bought it initially. So there are affordable ways to get into this stuff, or more affordable anyway, I should say. Robert, while I'm still annoyed they didn't make a Chris O'Donnell Robin Funko Pop. Yeah, they should have done that. I didn't even realize they didn't. That sucks. Hayden Spring, would Arkham Knight count as a Batman pop? No. Well, did I get an Arkham Knight? I think he has bad ears, so maybe I did get him. What's weird is there is a Batman pop from that game that was called Batman, but I didn't buy because it technically isn't. There's an Azrael that's from that game, and it says Azrael Batman. But I don't know why, because it's not in a Batsuit. It's just an Azrael costume. And he's not Batman. He's in no way Batman. I don't understand. Like, it's not even a Batman suit that Azrael is wearing that he modified like in Nightfall. It's just Azrael. I don't get it. What about Townsend Coleman? Aiden Springs says, what about Warburton and Serafinowicz, Frozen and Carbonite? That would finish the collection, and Townsend Coleman. You mean the actors? Yeah, well, that's creepy and weird. I would not want to buy people. I'm not crazy. But that's funny. I appreciate that. Yeah, David 1 or 2 AMC Comics. That was also sad. But again, lived a long, full life. So that's wonderful. Hayden Spring, have they made an SPD set? Not yet. The only SPD Ranger we have so far is Kruger, and there's a lot of speculation right now that SPD is probably coming really soon. My son Jason is very hopeful for that. No, I'm not going to go for 24 hours. Oh, yeah, AMC Comics. I guess I also drank a little bit during the Pirates of the Caribbean stream. That was a little while ago now. Okay, let's finish up and go over to the Star Trek area, shall we? And I know that, like Heroes of the Grid, this won't be as big of a deal to as many folks as the Arcade and the Batman section, but it's down here, so I will show you some of it real briefly. And real quick before I do that, I guess I'll also just mention that over here is also my exercise equipment. The last couple months, I haven't been working out as much as I was, but for about 9 or 10 straight months, almost every day I was on the elliptical and using my punching bag there some, and I'm hoping to get back to that soon. Also, throughout the bunker, you'll see some of these comic racks, which I used in my old flea market booth when I was selling comics and superhero-related merchandise. I actually had a flea market booth in a flea market in Topeka a couple of years ago that I called Superhero Rewind. It had a Superhero Rewind sign in it. And my dad bought me out and kept that booth for a while, and then eventually opened his own store again. And Dad had stores years ago in Arkansas. I used to have 4 stores in downtown Morrilton, Arkansas. And he has finally started a store again that he's running for another guy, and closed down the flea market booths. And gave me these racks back, which was really cool of him. So I trade these out every so often. So I've got some Wolverine comics there and Spider-Man 2099. Over here, I recently traded out some detectives for Nightfall, just the regular Batman title. And then I've got the original Ben Edlund run of The Tick over here. Various printings of those, some in color, some not. But I thought I'd mention that real quick. Here is my paint table, and again, I have kind of neglected this. I haven't been painting much lately, and I paint in various places. I don't always even paint here, but this is just kind of where I've been keeping all my paint stuff for the Power Ranger figures. That's what that is, if you were curious about it. Over here, I've got some liquor. I've got a little bit of a makeshift kitchenette down here. This whole basement still, by the way, is unfinished. If I took everything out of here tomorrow, it would take longer than that, but if I took everything out of here tomorrow, it would look exactly as it did when I moved in. I haven't done anything at all to the actual structure down here. Eventually, we still want to add a bathroom, and I have the hookups and things in the nook over there for that. But beyond that, I don't really have any plans to actually fully finish this because I like the industrial look of it. I have thought about maybe doing something to the ceiling, at the very least painting maybe black or gray the banisters and things. But anyway, so my wife got me this kitchen cart, which was super cool of her, and I occasionally cook down here just with a hot plate. And right now I've been using this primarily just for drinks and alcohol. I've got a Keurig here, and I have cappuccino every morning and sometimes in the middle of the day. It is my favorite hot beverage at the moment, and pretty much exclusively what I use the Keurig for. Occasionally I do teas too, but that's mostly what I use that for. And then here is the Star Trek area. Sometimes when I work real late at night, I will go ahead and just sleep down here instead of going to bed in my bedroom upstairs with my wife. So that's why I have a bed down here. I basically, besides again a bathroom, I basically got the setup where it's my own apartment, and I can fully live down here when I need to, when I'm working a lot. Okay, what to show you down here. So I've got a ridiculous amount of Star Trek stuff. I'm not going to go through everything. I'm going to do this real briefly, and then at some point I'll do a whole video on just Star Trek for the 5 people that will care about that. But I've got this IKEA shelf here with a whole bunch of memorabilia. I've realized recently that I have a weird number of Gorn items. I'm not even the biggest Gorn fan, but for some reason, there's a lot of Gorn merchandise, and I have 4 or 5 things. When I was in Georgia with DJ, I bought this giant Gorn plush, which I love, and he's hilarious. And so, I don't know, I've become kind of a Gorn collector for some reason. Some of the weirder stuff that I have here, I'll make sure and point out when I do a whole collection of this. But if there's anything you see that you want a closer look at, of course, just let me know. Right now I'm kind of just going to photograph it for you. This is the Mega Bloks Technodrome. As you can tell, some of the pieces have come off of it. Mikey bumped into it a few months ago, and I still haven't put it back together. He actually somehow broke a few pieces. Like, not just knocked the Mega Bloks pieces off, but like they fell and a couple things shattered, and I've got to get some glue out and fix them. So it doesn't look quite right, but it's still there. I don't know if I'm going to keep that on display or not. It doesn't really go in here because it's not Star Trek, obviously, but I don't have another place for it, so I might, at some point, finally just break that down and put another glass shelf there with maybe glassware, because I have a lot of Star Trek glasses upstairs in a shrunk that we have, and it's a little cluttered, so those kind of need to go down here, so that's probably what I'll put there. If I change that in this glass shelf, besides the Gorn and the Build-A-Bear 50th anniversary Star Trek bear up there, I have Playmate Star Trek figures, which I've done a whole video on years ago. I haven't added a ton to this since then, and I've slowed down on getting these. I don't have anything like a complete collection. My shadow's getting in the way. But I have just enough figures that fit this perfectly, so I have not felt the need to really keep buying more. But if I get another glass shelf, I'll put glassware in it, and eventually if I get a bunch more of these, I'll, use it for that instead. My kids got me some Jurassic Park pop figures for my birthday this last year, and I didn't have a great place to put them, so they're just on top of my fridge here. Here is a retro-looking, kind of 1950s throwback fridge that I think you can still get at the Home Depot. I had my eyes on this for a long time, and my wife finally bought it for me, which was super cool of her. I love having, my own fridge down here. And again, it's just kind of nice to be able to use this space as an apartment when I'm real busy and when I've got friends over and stuff. Brandon bought me this thing from a flea market or a thrift store and I've wanted one forever. They don't make these anymore. Pardon me. This is kind of a 90s Spencer gift kind of thing that they used in Star Trek Voyager and First Contact as the top of the Borg alcoves. And we always made fun of it back then, where it's like, oh, they just went to the mall to Spencer Gifts and bought those and threw them on the top of the alcoves. I know where they got those. So Brandon really wants to build a Borg alcove and put my 7 of 9 in it and put that on top of it. And at some point, I'm hoping we can make that happen. I think that would be really great. Oh, real quick, let me pause and show you guys something I meant to show you earlier. So speaking of things that Brandon wants to do, we have meant to mount this projector forever. We still haven't gotten around to it, but we're going to put it up in a rig in the ceiling in the not too distant future. We're talking about doing that within the next couple of weeks. It's been sitting on the edge of this desk for a long time, and it would be really nice to be able to use this part of the desk to, just write on or read on or something. I've had this glass desk forever. Going all the way back to, I don't know, 2011, 2012, like just after we moved into my last house, I bought this, and I haven't felt the need to upgrade it because I just really like it. I've always loved the shape of it. I like glass furniture. So you might be wondering, well, where does that, projector project to? I have a projector screen that comes down from the ceiling, and I don't think I showed this off on my last tour video, so I'll show it to you now, but it's a pretty good size. And so I've got kind of a makeshift home theater here. Brandon and I have thought about mounting a much larger screen and setting it a little bit farther back, which we may do eventually. And then I've got a nice comfortable couch here that I thought about replacing at some point with theater seats. But I honestly don't find those to be the most comfortable things in the world, and so I don't know if I really want to do that, but I might at some point. At least try to throw something in here with cup holders. I don't know. But I also got really lucky that this couch is exactly the right size to go between these two bookcases, so I don't know if I really want to mess with this setup. But anyway, I wanted to show you that while I was thinking about it. So then, besides that, over here is my ridiculously massive Star Trek book collection. I have a very, pardon me, I have a very large collection, and I've been buying these since I was in high school of, sorry, I don't want to cause any seizures for anybody. I have a very large reference library for Star Trek, and I'll go through a lot of this stuff when I eventually do that video. Here's some board games and things up here. And here are some 90s Star Trek Playmate ships. And a couple more things like that over here. This was actually the Art Asylum NX-01 Enterprise, which is my favorite ship. And I wanted this toy forever, and I finally bought one during the pandemic on Facebook Marketplace. This is not the full collection. I actually only have about half of them. I don't know if I'm going to keep buying these or not. They've gone out of print, but Eagle Moss, which just filed Chapter 11 this last year, they are going out of business. Put out these hardcovers for Star Trek comics, and I think they did, like, I said half. I don't even have half. I think they did like 150 volumes, 140 volumes. I don't know that I'll ever feel the need to get all of that, but I have a lot of it, and it looks really cool on the shelf. So I'm glad I bought what I bought of those. And then I have a whole lot of Star Trek paperbacks, novels. I have a lot of the earliest TOS stuff, going all the way up to things they published in the mid-2000s and beyond. I bought out Vince's mom's collection. Vince's mom is a huge Star Trek fan, and she gave me a really great deal. She wanted to go ahead and finally liquidate all of her Star Trek stuff, and she had a yard sale that I didn't find out about until after it was over. She didn't sell any of her Star Trek stuff there, so I called her up and told her I wanted all of it, depending on the price. She was shocked that I wanted to buy the entire collection, and all I'll say is it was some like 500 pieces. Well, I guess this will tell you exactly what I paid, but she gave them to me for on average $1 a piece, which was preposterous with some of the stuff she had. It was really, really neat of her. And anyway, so I'll show you a lot of that stuff when I eventually make a video on the book collection. But there's some really rare stuff there. There were some records. There were some I almost said fanzines. She actually gave me all of her fanzines even years before that. But she had a lot of like poetry chapbooks from that were given away just at conventions in the 70s and 80s by actors like Leonard Nimoy and DeForest Kelley. And some of that stuff is really interesting. So I have some bizarre, rare Star Trek artifacts in here that you can't tell just looking at these shelves, really. In here, again, a lot of this also came from her, is my collection of Star Trek magazines. And I still need to do a deep dive into this stuff and read more of these articles and stuff. But there's a lot of old stuff, that, again, that came from conventions. And, like, here's the movie fan club from the early 80s. There can't be a ton of these running around. So yeah, really lucky to have some of that stuff. And then I'm really behind on my Star Trek media. I've got a lot of stuff still on DVD. I need to upgrade to Blu-ray on more of this, but I still stream a lot of that, so I haven't really been in a giant hurry. And then right now, the only game system I have over here is the 360, which is how we played Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I have the Fight Stick for Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is a really good one, and also the Injustice Fight Stick. My PS4 and my Switch are over in the office. I play those on the projector screen somewhat regularly. And then, like I said, everything else is up in the game room, which I'll show you at some point. And then another art wall here with some of my signatures that I've gotten at Star Trek conventions over the years. It's been a long time. I haven't gone to cons and gotten signatures in a while, but got quite a bit when I was doing that, back when those things were a little bit more affordable. I've shown some of this before, but there's Dwight Schultz. There is Marina Sirtis. Over here is John Delancey. Here is my Batleth, signed by several actors who have played Klingons, including Michael Dorn. Sorry about the glare there. Michael Dorn, who is over here in cardboard form. And Robert O'Reilly is up there. J.G. Hertzler is there. There's Spice Williams from Star Trek V. Pardon me. Here is Robert Picardo. And not everything you see over here is signed. These pictures here I got at a flea market. These don't have certificates with them. I don't think these are real signatures. They just look nice, so I've kept them. I thought they were real when I bought them. I kind of got had with those, but the prices were really reasonable, so it wasn't the biggest deal. I think I paid like $30 or $35 for each of these, maybe less than that. So yeah, don't get excited about those. I don't think any of that is real. Looks good on the wall, though, but this one is. Here is Avery Brooks, who I did meet in person and had him sign this plate. Really cool that he signed that as huge as he did. And that is most everything. So let me pull up, and we're just at close to 2 hours. So yeah, yes, I do remember when Star Trek was fun to talk about. Yeah, when I said that I'm kind of behind in my Star Trek media collecting, I don't mean the new shows. I'm not planning on buying any of that. Okay, Robert Weil, dig a hole in your house so you can install bat poles to the bat bunker. You know you want to. My wife and I have talked about it for years, about actually getting fireman poles installed in the house. Maybe someday. Maybe someday. Busted Sim, you heard it here first, folks. Cap is a Gorn addict. Apparently. I don't know. AMC, I like the lights you got up, Cap. Thank you. It reminds me of the way my parents decorated the entrance to their literal cave in the basement for Christmas. Oh, neat. That's cool. Jeff Gerhardt, my favorite Batman-related Funko is my Scarecrow that I got signed by John Noble. Neat. Does anybody else get Funkos autographed? I have not yet. I might, but I mean, I would, but I have not gone to cons specifically for signatures in quite a while. I think the last time I did really was Paramorphicon, and that was like 6 years ago now. Have I gotten a signature since then? Maybe Kevin Conroy was the year or two after that at Planet Comic Con here in Kansas City. Busted Sim, the first Star Trek book I ever read was Vendetta. I think that's the TNG book with the Gorn, if I'm not mistaken. I've read part of that too. The A Time 2 series were my absolute favorite for a time. I haven't read those yet, but I have them. Robert Wild, Where the Fun Goes on the Fridge. You probably saw me talk about them after that, but yeah, those are the Jurassic Park ones. Busted Sim, Eagle Moss dying is sad, but I had so many issues with their quality control. A lot of people did. Yeah, it was unfortunate. I almost got into their Batmobile collection, and the reason I ended up going for Funko Pops actually was because I decided not to get the Batmobiles. Busted Sim, I'm surprised that War Standy is still up. Usually the man ends up face planted on the deck plates. That is true. Busted Sim, man, I like starting comments with man. I was noticing that as well. Okay, well, folks, I think that is about it. I'll stick around for just a minute or two and see if there's anything else that you guys saw that you want me to give you a closer look at. Oh, hey, check this out. I just installed a mic arm today. I finally have a mic arm. I was procrastinating on that forever because I talk with my hands so much. I'm always afraid I'm going to smack my microphone. So I never bought one, but I've been worried about my audio quality because the mic is a little bit too far away from me, particularly when I have somebody else sitting next to me. Because I have an omnidirectional mic, and theoretically, it should be no trouble to use one microphone for two people. But sitting on the desk, as far away as I have to sit from the microphone, it's just too far away. So I finally broke down and did it. It wasn't a cost thing. They're not expensive. If you've never priced mic arms, you can get a good one on Amazon for $20. Like, they're not high. But I avoided it forever. And finally, I was like, yeah, I better do that. So hopefully it helps my quality and I can get the levels really good. But Thomas Sloan, no Transformers? No, I'm not a Transformers collector. I like Transformers fine. I did not grow up with it. It's not a big nostalgic thing for me. Not that I only buy things I'm nostalgic for, but a lot of what's down here is like that. Mikey, my 4-year-old, has a few Transformers toys he plays with. The coolest Transformers thing I probably have is not down here. It's actually up in the kids' room. And believe it or not, it's actually the thing we have that's signed by Jason David Frank. We have, isn't that weird? We have a really cool double print set that somebody made out here in Kansas City that's a drawing of Megazords versus Transformers. And so it's like the Dragon Zord and either the Dino Megazord or the Thunder. I can't remember. But they're fighting Transformers. And they're fighting in downtown Kansas City. It's really cool. It's a really neat local thing. And Jason had Jason David Frank sign one of those prints. And I should show you guys that at some point. But I don't know if I've put that on camera before. But that's probably the coolest Transformer thing I have. But Sim, isn't being a multi-collector the best and worst thing ever? Sometimes choosing between your babies to grow is really hard. Yeah, absolutely. And it means you can almost never be completionist for anything unless you're just made of money. And honestly, sometimes being completionist is also just not a lot of fun to me. Like, some people with comics feel the need to buy every variant cover of something, and unless they're just really, really cool and I like the picture too much, I never, like, there's a few issues of Power Rangers I have multiple copies of because I just like the artwork. But I don't like contributing to scams, you know. I don't like being hoodwinked by that. And I mean, look, if you feel the need, like, you know, Dynamite or Boom or whatever puts out like 19 versions of or 19 covers for the same issue, and you really like buying those, more power to you. But I've seen people, you know, look kind of sad about having to buy, you know, spend $4 or $5 an issue, the same issue over and over again. I'm like, well, you don't have to. Um, that's why with the Batman pops, like I get as close to completion as possible. I'm never gonna spend $150 on a Batman pop. It's just a ridiculous waste of money. Like I can't bring myself to do it. So like I can see you saying I'm not a real collector, I'm a cheapskate or whatever. I don't understand why some of those are command the prices they do. And if I was going to spend that much money on a collectible, it would be an old, like, actual rare comic or something. You know, like, it's not like I would never spend that kind of money on one thing. I have. But it would have to be something that wasn't manufactured scarcity, you know, and I don't mean that all pop is that way. Sometimes it seems to be. And I'm like this with old school video games too, with retro stuff. Like, there's this perceived value for stuff that's not actually rare or not rare enough that it should cost 80, 100, 150, $200, whatever it is. My go-to example has always been uh, Earthbound on the SNES, which is still a $100 game or more. There's a lot of copies of that. It's never made sense that it costs that much, and it's been that way for a really long time. So it really just depends on what it is. But the only thing that I'm actually completionist on right now is Heroes of the Grid, which has not been difficult to do once I started with a collection that had everything up to that point, because I pre-order everything when it comes out. That's the only thing I do that with. And, you know, because of that, I mean, you know, that's not cheap. So, it's not like it's my whole income or anything, but like I've been prioritizing that. So there's other collections that I might have grown more already that I haven't because I've been doing that. Thomas Lowe, kids would never appreciate the satisfaction of comic collecting. Sorry about that. And it's different with video games. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get going. Thanks a lot for joining me. And if you were here for the entire 2 hours, that's awesome of you. I did not plan to make this long, but, you know, it's live and I'm interacting with you. And it was a blast going around and showing you guys a lot of this stuff. I'm going to do more deep dives like I did with my comic collection. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see me start with. Which of the collections you saw that you'd like to get a closer look at, I should say, with an hour or 2 hour stream going through every piece of a collection. I have probably 10 to 20 of them that I could do that with. With Star Trek stuff, Star Trek, I could probably do 2 or 3 different videos. With comics, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I've already done it with Tick. Like I said, I don't know if I'll do that again because I don't really have much to add to it. But I'm going to go ahead and get going. So thanks again for being here. I'll see you again tomorrow night if you're so inclined to pop in for the Captain Logan show. I'm going to talk about trailers. We had a bunch that came out last week, and I kind of wished I'd done a Thursday show because Thursday we had 3 big trailers, and I could have done one that night, but I was on hiatus, and I had other plans, so I couldn't do that. But I'll be talking about tomorrow night, Mario and Indiana Jones 5, which I still haven't even seen the trailer for yet. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which I have, and I guess the new Transformers movie also had a trailer. So that'll be the lead-in topic for tomorrow night. Also, ask me anything. As always, my plan right now is to bring back Superhero Rewind next Monday. It's December. I'm busy. I don't want to promise anything, but that's the plan right now. And if I'm able to do that, I'll be doing Black Panther. So lots of stuff going on the channel this week. Hope to see you again soon. I was Captain Logan. Thanks so very much for watching. Bye, everybody.